Hello and welcome to this late afternoon taste challenge. I have two Canadian blended whiskeys, 40% alcohol. This is Winn-Dixie's Premium Canadian exclusive. Well, it is exclusive because it's only sold at Winn-Dixie. There's a fleur-de-lis, two Lions, Canadian whiskey with natural flavors, Winn-Dixie liquors, imported by Wide World Importers, bottled in Frankfort, Kentucky at Buffalo Trace, in a beautiful plastic bottle for Winn-Dixie stores. It cost me $13.99 for this huge bottle. Sometimes they have it in stock. Sometimes they don't have it in stock. Sometimes they have it on the website. Sometimes they don't. They only put it on the website when it's in stock. So I don't know what to say, But there it is. I can remember. Winn-Dixie was started in 1955 with a merger of Winn and Dixie grocery stores, okay? But the roots go back to 1925. I know they're celebrating their 100th anniversary, but really it's not that old as a United store. But I can remember 50 years ago, they had liquor. They had their own brand of liquors, plural, and they had bourbon, Canadian whiskey, gin, vodka, scotch, rum. I don't know about brandy. So it's not unusual for them to have that. The bourbon is always in stock, but that's only coming from Kentucky. The Canadian whiskey, like I say, is spotty. The scotch, same kind of thing. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. And the vodka is always in stock. All right, here is Tennessee Crown Club, introduced in 2013, small batch, aged 7 years in ex-bourbon barrels and finished in ex-sherry casks. It's 85% corn, 15% rye. I like that they give you the information on the bottle because there's no website for this. Oh, there is a website for Select Club, the owners of this. I don't know who owns Select Club, but I suspect it's probably a bigger company, but maybe it's independent. They have a unique bottle design. For whatever reason, some store, I can't remember what store, but some store in Jefferson Parish, Wooden Cap, had this for $7.99. Well, I didn't know a thing about it, but for $7.99, I was going to find out. These tend to run around $25, $26. When I see Select Club, and it's always flavored whiskey, when I see that, it's always about 24, low end $24.99, high end $26.99. So the appearance, oh yikes! I poured too much Select Club. Let's see what I can do here. Well, it's not really that much more. It's a little bit more. Cheers, Louisiana Whiskey Reviews. Do you think Trump will be able to achieve a peace between Russia and Ukraine? 50-50, kind of like these whiskey taste challenges lately, 50-50 shot. John Mallory says, cheers, fellas, clinking the mugs. So I get it. These are obscure. Chances are you're not going to see these unless you're in Louisiana, where Winn-Dixie is common, southeastern Louisiana at least, and they all sell liquor, so it'd be pretty easy to find it, and it'd be pretty cheap to buy it. Select Club, Tennessee Crown Club, I think that was probably sent to Tennessee because they make a Texas Crown Club. They have other states. They might make one for every state, for all I know. It's probably the same stuff. Because like their website says, corn and rye. They don't mention any other grains. Corn and rye. 85% corn, 15% rye. Aged 7 years, a lot longer than most of these Canadian whiskeys we see around here. And finished in sherry. In this case, finished in sherry casks. Now that might be what differentiated differentiates it, because you might find, I'll check on that next time at Total Wine and More. You might see that the Texas Crown Club is finished in port cask or era cask or some other kind of wine. You know, this would be the same whiskey, but they're just finishing it differently, which would give it a unique flavor. And, like when they did the Doers and they finished it in the mezcal casks. I mean, those mezcal barrels gave it a totally different flavor, and it was dynamite too. I wish they had kept that around. I mean, I enjoyed that bottle. That was amazing. All right. Anyway, they're both they're both kind of like pale gold, like an amber gold. Yeah, I guess amber gold. Do they have coloring added? I wouldn't be shocked. Canadian whiskey is allowed to have coloring added. They don't have to list it on the label. This one says with natural flavors. Canadian whiskey can have natural flavors at any time, and they don't have to put it on the label. If they want to put it on a label or not put it on the label, that's up to the company. But Louisiana Whiskey Reviews, that Jocko. Oh, the Jocko Lantern. You didn't like it. Tasted like candle wax to me, but it tasted all right to me. You know, like that pumpkin concoction. It used to be called Curious Traveler Jocko. They used to have a separate line of beers called Curious Traveler, and they were like shandies and different flavors, and nobody bought it except me, maybe. And then the Jocko was the pumpkin ale. Jack-o'-lantern, get it? And that was the only one that probably did any kind of business. And so when they killed off the Curious Traveler line, they brought in Jocko over to Samuel Adams, and now it's called Samuel Adams Jocko. I don't mind it. I'm not in love with it. It's certainly not my favorite pumpkin beer, but you can't hardly find pumpkin beers anymore. I can't. Shipyard, yeah. Shipyard Smash Pumpkin, yeah. The rest, nah. Sometimes Pumpkinator from St. Arnold, but they still got 2023 bottles sitting on the shelves. 2024 didn't show up for the most part. I guess if I go to Total Wine and More, I could get it, but it'd be the same old thing. These days, it'd be the same old thing. Good stuff, but not much variety. I mean, 15 years ago, oh, they would have so many pumpkin beers. That was the problem. I guess they had too many, and people didn't really like them to start with. So I liked them, but that's me. I can't keep the thing going. Okay. All right. It smells like cereal grain. I believe corn and rye. Wouldn't be, unbelieving in that. And I got too much poured here. It's going to make it's making a little bit of a weight difference. So I'm going to have to go dump this. Notice that I did not say dump out. I say dump. I'm not going to waste it. Got somebody speaking French over here. Okay. Hello, Joe Cobb. Cole. Cobb is the Anglo name. It's Cole. I can't keep up. All right. Oh, yeah, I get that part. I do. Maybe I'm stupid. Cole. Okay. He used to have a famous piano player and jazz singer in New Orleans named Ronnie Cole. Now, I don't know if that was his real name. It was his stage name, at least, Ronnie Cole. Saw him play live. No, I'm not. Smells, like I say, cereal grain. Could be some flavoring added, though, but like I said, that could be apple. Okay, on appearance, close. Got that amber appearance, clear amber. So appearance isn't making a difference. Oh, you like the history live streams? Thank you. Now, aroma could be a little vanilla, that wedding cake frosting, which is making me think the flavored one. But I'm not sure because it's not. I thought this one would be easy, but this is becoming a problem. Not that different. My father was like, they're probably the same whiskey in two different bottles. Told me that on the phone. I said, I hope not. He's cynical about these things. He thinks they're all like scamming people, putting the same product, different vessels, making it look better than it really is. I guess it could be doing that. Yes. All right, taste. He asked me tonight, what are y'all reviewing? Y'all. I said, well, it's only me tonight. Oh, he said, really? I said, yeah, just a whiskey taste challenge. Oh, okay. He was curious. I told him, oh, he never heard of these brands. Well, of course, he heard of Winn-Dixie brand because he's bought it back in his drinking days. He has a lot of experience with it, but he never heard it. I didn't even mention Tennessee Crown Club. I knew he never heard of that. Hello, Jeff Terry. Yep, still alive. Jason Cleveland says he's enjoying hello, and he's enjoying a Pilsner in Anaheim, California as I listen. I've been to Anaheim, California. Went to a baseball game there. Grandpa made it to 99. Today's your birthday. Well, happy birthday. All right, this tastes like nut oil, a little pecan, 100. Great. A little walnut. It's got to be the Winn-Dixie Canadian because it has those flavors. Now, I felt in the past that they over flavored it, that maybe they went a little overboard, almost like a prank. Let's put a lot of flavor. You're welcome. Let's put a lot of flavor and see if anybody will notice. Well, I'm noticing it. Let's go over here. More standard Canadian whiskey, just like your corn, your rye. Get that rye spice. Do the sherry barrels have an impact? I think they might have a subtle impact. Not enough for me to differentiate, though, because like I did Crown Royal yesterday, I couldn't tell them apart. But maybe Crown Royal's finished in sherry cask, and they don't talk about it. They don't have to talk about it. Glenfarclas, yeah. Well, we'll get to Scotch later. Let's be patient. We have to go to Ireland first. after this. That's the flavored one. Is it a good flavor? Well, that's the let's say that's the announced flavored one, because like I said, they could have flavor and not announce it, but it does taste different. Is the Winn-Dixie Canadian whiskey with natural flavors worth buying? I mean, it's worth buying, especially when they run sales like $12.99 for this huge bottle here. It's not something to be worried about buying, though. I mean, if you see it and you want to spend a little money, buy it. You're not gaining much. You're not losing anything. It's okay. It's not bad like you would think. You would think, oh, that's a store brand. It's made for that store chain. It's going to be awful. I don't really think those usually are awful. I think the worst case is they're usually just a little dull, kind of bland. But I tried the Trader Joe's straight bourbon cream liqueur yesterday. Trader Joe's straight Kentucky bourbon. That's the name of it. Trader Joe's Kentucky straight bourbon cream. That's a long name. It was great. A solid A. It tasted just like bourbon cream from Buffalo Trace. Probably the same product. Now, there's my father coming in. Probably the same product, but it under their label. I would be very strongly inclined to agree with that. But it's a good $10 cheaper. So I think it. I know Sazerac does a lot. Sazerac, Glenmore, Barton 1792, Buffalo Trace. I know they do a lot of stuff for Trader Joe's, so I wouldn't be totally shocked at all. I wouldn't be shocked in any way. By the way, Sazerac does a lot of stuff for Winn-Dixie because this is a Sazerac product. You'll never see their name on it, but sometimes they forget and they put their name on it. Like the Scotch I have, it says contact us. You know, it's got their contact number, Sazerac. I say, wait a minute. But this one just says Wide World Importers of Frankfort, Kentucky. Well, we all know who's in Frankfort, Kentucky. Premium Canadian. Premium for $12.99 on sale. What does that word mean, premium? I guess this sounds better than calling it not horrible. It's all right. I mean, it's fine. I'll give it a B, 8.3 out of 10. It has some character. It's probably right in line with the other Sazerac nutty flavored beer. Canadian whiskeys like Rich and Rare, not the Reserve, just Rich and Rare. Canadian Limited, the Northern Lights, Caliber Canadian. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Canadian Hunter. I mean, they are so similar. James Fox, another good example. If they're not the same, they should be the same. If they're not the same product and different labels, they should be the same product and different labels. But I don't mind them, you know. But I've steered away from buying all of those because it's kind of like the same every time. But not the bad same, just the same. Albertson's Canadian Crest, also from the same guys. Yeah, it's sort of like the same thing also. But you can find that for so cheap. The Tennessee Crown Club has a lot more true whiskey flavor, you know, like the corn, the maize, the rye, aged 7 years, so it's more, it's smoother, more developed, a drier finish. I think the sherry cask finish is adding to it. Like I said, though, when I went up against Crown Royal, it had me totally confounded. But I think they could have had some inside information on what Crown Royal was doing, and they could have mimicked it. Because Crown Royal does not have an age statement. So it could be, around 7 years old. It could be finished in sherry cask because they don't have to disclose that. That would not have to be disclosed at all. So Canadian whiskeys have a lot of leeway in their composition. As long as the flavoring is natural, not artificial flavoring. They can add caramel color for adding enhanced coloring. Don't have to put it on the label. And the only rule has to be made from whole grains, not syrup, but like whole grains, corn, kernels, rye, right? But no syrup or extract. But and it has to be aged at least 3 years. No unaged distillate in it allowed. But after that, their whole approach is let your imagination run wild. Oh yeah, and it has to be aged in oak barrels, new or used. So Canada probably has the loosest restrictions on their whiskey blends, their blended whiskeys of any country, because they only require, but like I said, whole grains, aged at least 3 years in oak barrels. Beyond that, add flavoring, don't add flavoring, add coloring, don't add coloring, put this much corn, that much rye, this much wheat, that much barley. It is up to you. And so you can get some very interesting Canadian whiskey flavors. I don't know why some people like to rag on Canadian whiskey. I had somebody whose brain might not be working correctly. Well, actually, it isn't working correctly. He tells me, I said, what do you think about Seagram's VO? He tells me, that's not a true whiskey. I don't know what he based that on. Maybe his insanity. Man, talk about a guy that could lose a bet quick, making that statement. You could lose money quick if you really would be willing to pay up. So this is the Tennessee Crown Club. I would go at 10 points higher. So we're saying 83. Over here we're saying 93. 8.3, 9.3. Big difference. And just think if I was wrong, right? That'd be scary. But I got it. I knew I'd get it, but at first I was a little nervous. But so should you get the Canadian, the Tennessee Crown Club, which is not related to Tennessee in any way? Yes, I think so. You're not going to save any money versus Crown Royal because they're about the same price. Although I did get it on the super sale, like I told you, $7.99. If I knew then what I know now, I would have bought probably 3 bottles. $23.97 for 3 full bottles of this excellent whiskey. Most excellent whiskey, easily I'd have bought 3 bottles. But I didn't know, and I wasn't really looking to take a big chance, So, but that's why I bought it. Honestly, what I had bought it for $26.99, had I seen it on the shelf, the answer is I would not have taken a chance on it. I just wouldn't have bought it. And to be fair, I've been seeing that Texas Crown Club at Total Wine and More for years. And it says Canadian whiskey. I'm like, why do they call it Texas? But I didn't understand the concept. But I never bought it. I'm not saying I wouldn't buy it, but it's probably the same thing as this. And I know when I look on the back, it's going to say 85% corn, 15% rye, aged 7 years. So there'll be no incentive to buy it because it's the same product. But I do like the fact that Total Wine and More continuously is updating their Canadian whiskey offerings. They just have a lot of turnover. So if you see something and you're like, that's a good deal, I'm gonna wait till next month. Well, you ain't gonna see it next month, but because they're constantly turning it over. It's like, well, I mean, obviously they're gonna always have Crown Royal. They're gonna always have Canadian Club. They're gonna always have 40 Creek, stuff like that, But the other stuff, you better buy it if you're kind of interested in it. Liquor enthusiast says, "Hello, RJT. Took a big chance at the okay. You took a big chance at the high school dance. Then you had to walk this way. Okay. I think a lot of people are a little exuberant this afternoon. They went to work all day Monday. Can't trust that day. And they came home and, well, maybe they indulged on some products a little bit, but which is reflective upon their comments. But the clear and present winner is the Tennessee Crown Club. I keep laughing at myself when I do these videos. I'm like, why even do the video? Because 99% of the viewers cannot find this. But the ones in Memphis, Knoxville, and Memphis, Nashville, and Knoxville can probably find it. But when you bring in the price consideration, however, then it gets a little more dicey because think about it. You can get this big, huge bottle, when it's available. Like I said, not always available. It's kind of like half the time. You go over there, they'll have it for, let's say, the worst case scenario, $15.99, but it's probably cheaper than that. But $15.99 for this huge bottle. Now you find this bottle is going to be $26.99, not $7.99 like I found it. Is it really worth it to pay $26.99 for a 750 over $15.99 for a 1,750? You're getting an extra 1,000 milliliters. I would have to debate that cognitively. I would have to think about that. The WD Liquors is it's pretty good. I don't mind the taste of walnut oil, pecan oil, a little vanilla. I don't mind it. Even the glass smells good after sipping. So it would be a really interesting trade-off. I might be inclined to I have to think about it. I would have to think about it. But nobody cares. Let's cut this off because nobody cares. It's like these are two obscure products that have virtually no applicable meaning. But what's coming up next? Well, I have another obscure product, Canadian Peak. Canadian Peak. You know, the top of the mountain, the peak. Introduced in 1961. And nobody cares. But I did find it, and I think I got a good deal on it. And it comes in a beautiful bottle. They've changed the bottle radically over the last 64 years, but and probably the ownership has changed radically over the last 64 years. But it's under the Sazerac umbrella these days, and Sazerac does take their Canadian whiskey seriously, as evidenced by the fact that they have ownership of like 25 dozen Canadian whiskey brands. I'm exaggerating, probably not by too much. And I think if you see Canadian Peak, you should check it out. I mean, I don't mean go look for it, nothing like that. But I found it for like, oh, it was like $16. I think it was like $15.99, and if you bought the handle, it was like $26.99. Obviously, a much better value. But I said, I don't know what I'm getting into, and I don't want to take a chance. But I've been very, very pleased with it. I'm getting to the end of it. Getting to the end. Probably could do three. I probably can squeeze 3 taste challenges out of it, I think. Okay, so stay tuned for that. And then we're going to bring in some more well-known brands such as Harwood. You see it around. I got a deal on that. I think you can still get a deal on it. Harwood and the Northern Lights, formerly known as the Northern Light. The Northern Lights. I could find that in a snap. Canadian Limited, Gibson's Finest Rare. Some people say introduced in 1972. I have serious questions if that's the fact, but people say that, but I'm not exactly buying that story, but I'll play along for the sake of argument. But James Fox, another one that used to be kind of like quasi popular. Canadian Hunter, which obviously is popular because I keep seeing it. Every time I turn my head, I'll see a Canadian Hunter. Yeah, other stuff, Caliber, doggone Grand Legacy, which now has been bought by a different company. Grand Legacy was CVS Pharmacy's brand, CVS Pharmacy, but it got bought by a different company. But it's, it's tolerable. Yeah, and some others, I have some others that are a little bit better quality, I guess. But well, definitely better quality. Definitely better quality. But then we're going to move on to Ireland in about 2 weeks. Probably take 2 weeks to get through Canada. Canada's a big country, make a lot of whiskey. But after we get through that, which I'm saying it like it's a chore, but it's fun, to do it. But then we're going to go over to the Emerald Isle and bring in Irish blended whiskey, and I've got a treasure trove of that. And then probably into September or maybe even October, going to the Kingdom of Scotland, and getting single malt. A lot of people love to review the single malts, and I do too. And I've got some beautiful single malts coming into play. Thank you, liquor enthusiast. Jeff says sometimes you're paying for the name, just like in beer, you're paying for the name. Well, there's no doubt about that. A lot of people pay money for the name, but that's what you got. You bought a name because you ain't got nothing in the bottle that's really justifying what you laid out. But you can go brag to all your friends, and your acquaintances. But anyway, Tennessee Crown Club, a solid product. I mean, I know most viewers would pass it up if they saw it. They'd be like, I never heard of this weird product. The bottle's strange. The name is weird because it's Tennessee, which got nothing to do with Canada. I understand that. I understand that you would not buy it. I would not have bought it either, but for $7.99, I was suddenly very interested in it. And now that I've tasted it, I'm very pleased that I was interested in it. Okay, well, see y'all tomorrow morning, God willing, because we're going to bring in the Canadian Peak. All right, y'all take care, everybody. Bye-bye.